Hello and welcome to 5 Minutes with Dr. Fein, a parenting and educational podcast. I'm Mark Fein along with Dr. Fein. Lou, good morning, good day. How are you?
I'm terrific. Thank you for caring.
All right. Um, so, for those of you who haven't watched before, since it's only our second one, that's probably most of you who are watching. I am a former TV guy, reporter, anchor who got in the family business, and instead of just covering education, now work in education. And Dr. Fine has been in education. Yeah, we don't like to always say the years, but more than 50 years. So a lot of experience teaching kids, teaching teachers, teaching administrators, and has a lot of experience, and that's what we're here to share. So today, Dr. Fine, we want to talk about support staff. That's a term that maybe some parents might not even be able to define for us.
That's why
Sir,
we're here.
what, exactly. All right. Well, you go ahead and define it.
Well, it's additional staff that schools have employed in order to provide additional services for students that may have special needs and to help teachers address some of the individual needs of the students that are in their classrooms.
So that could be anything from a teacher's aide to a speech pathologist to a physical therapist, and the list goes on and on. Let's just take a look at a few, and you can talk about their importance for the school and for the children. How about we start with just the most, I think, I don't want to call them basic because I don't want them to be insulted, but what the most basic support staff, just a teacher's aide, which some people might not realize how important that can be.
Teachers' aid are really important, and it's a lot of these staff positions are considered luxuries because of budget constraints, and budgeting has gotten a lot tighter at schools over the past decade than they were previously. But the need has increased over the past decade, and so we have things moving in opposite directions, and that's not for the benefit of the students. When it comes to teachers' aides, they feeling is that parents may have, well, they're there to make the teachers' workloads a little easier, but that's not the reason they're there. They're really there as a support system for the students. And whatever attention they can give to students that are in need of individual help while the teacher is teaching in the classroom in general, then that's a value. And also the time that they're spending with the entire group that might enable the teacher to spend individual time with the student who needs their individual attention.
Yeah, and if you talk to any teacher, I'm sure there are teachers out there watching, listening, who would tell you it just changes exponentially what they are able to do in the classroom by having another body there and another capable, obviously, person in the room.
Well, one of the things that's happened over the last few decades is that class sizes have increased dramatically. Um, Classes used to be 18, 19, 20 in a class, then 24, then 27, then 28. And it's not unusual to have classes now that have more than 30, 35 students in a class. And so the student to teacher ratio has exploded. And that makes it even more difficult for children on both ends of that spectrum. Children who need more individual attention because they may not catch on as quickly, and students that are more advanced who are able to move faster that need individual attention as well.
All right, we're going to move faster now because it's supposed to be 5 minutes. We always say we're going to go a little bit long, but let's talk about guidance counselors because full
Before we
disclosure. Look, we both work for United Testing Service, the company that you started 50 plus years ago, and it's a big part of what we do. So we know a lot about this. It is such an important role in the school, and there's so many kids that are in need, and there are a lot of schools that unfortunately either don't have a full-time guidance counselor or might not even have a counselor at all.
It is a fact of life, and there's a shortage of guidance counselors, and the result of that has been, I think the American Counseling Association has determined that the ratio of student to guidance counselor at school should not exceed 250 to 1. And yet the average ratio in this country today is closer to 400 to 1, somewhere between 350 students to 400, which means that the guidance counselors that are in place in the schools are overworked and have an inability to meet the needs of all the students at the schools. So there's a twofold problem there. We have a problem with not enough counselors. We have a problem with those that we do have who are overworked. So it's a system, again, that needs to be addressed. And as far as the need for it, this is occurring at a time where students are still feeling the effects of the 2+ years of loss in education progress due to COVID. And a lot of that is due to increased anxiety and increased emotional problems that have resulted as a result of COVID. Families are still dealing with it. There is a greater need for counseling services in schools at a time when there are fewer counselors available.
All right, we're going to finish off with tutors and tutoring. And I think historically people look at tutoring as something where it's a child who's not smart enough or who can't keep up in class. And that's the reason they need tutoring. I have a different thought on it because, of course, as a child, you and my mother were. Very, very
Proactive.
conscientious parents in terms of being involved in my education. And when I was struggling at a course, even if I wasn't failing it, it was let's get him some help or let's get her, my sister, some help so that we make sure that they're understanding the concepts and able to keep up and move forward. So talk a little bit about, I think it's become, you and I have shared articles. It's become much more mainstream that tutors are an active part of almost every student's life, or should be.
Or should be. That's better. There is a major study that was done a number of years ago. I believe it's called Bloom's Sigma 2 study, which showed a dramatic increase in the performance levels of students that received tutoring support. To the extent that, for example, the study showed an increase of somewhere from a 50th percentile, a student functioning in the 50th percentile, to moving up to the 98th percentile in performance, just because they received individual tutoring. And it's not the type of tutoring that is keeping, them treading water and keeping their head afloat in the classroom, but it is a scaffold tutoring, which enables them to learn how to learn and to take care of themselves. And tutoring should be a temporary crutch. It's not something that you want the students on permanently, but there's a responsibility on the part of parents to augment whatever a school is doing to help their children. Even more recent studies are showing dramatic increase, and to the effect that over and over and over again, bills are coming before Congress indicating that the most effective way of affecting children's learning in our public schools, private schools, and charter schools is through tutoring, whether it be in small groups or individualized. And so that's something that schools can address individually and that parents can address proactively at home after school. And again, PTAs, considerable involvement in affecting the funding that will enable tutoring to take place at their children's schools.
Well, there you go. 5 minutes with Dr. Fein. We kind of ran through a lot of that. I think certainly guidance counseling, Dad, is one of the things that we will tackle again, because we can spend an easy 5 minutes just on guidance counseling, but there's so
Absolutely.
much.
Yep.
Yeah, there's so much to cover. Hopefully that helped you a little bit. A reminder, we do both work for United Testing Service, and United Testing Service is here for you. If any of the things we just discussed could be of interest to either you or your school or your children, we are always here to help. You can email, you can go to our website. You've seen me flash those up on the screen here as we've gone throughout the little podcast here. So thanks for joining us, Dr. Fein. As always, thanks for the wisdom.
Always a pleasure speaking with you.
All right, we'll see you next time.